So good day, we're Group 1 and we're here to report about pictograph. What is pictograph? So this topic will be discussed by Tricia. So Tricia.
Hello everyone. Today, let's learn about another way of data presentation called pictograph. So this topic isn't new to us, right? Because our teacher has been tackled this since when we are in elementary level, especially in junior high school or even senior high school. So now, what is a pictograph, by the way? So when we say pictograph, from the word itself, pictograph, so it literally gives information with the use of pictures or symbols. So it can be also used primarily for making early learners associate objects with numbers. They help in visually formatting statistical data. They help in representing the data visually interesting and easy to understand. Of course, especially the young ones or the young learners can definitely understand what the pictograph is all about. Because as I said a while ago, that pictograph represent a pictures or symbols which they can visually see it and interpret it. Next. Okay, so let's take a look at the picture. So we noticed that there are three girls who are picking or collecting a lot of flowers from the farm. So let us say Simi collected 5 flowers, Tanya collected 7 flowers, while Suzanne collected 4 flowers from the farm. So remember that when we write the numbers of different objects in a given group, we call it what? So we call it a data. So data given in the flower farm example can be represented as follows. So this is an example of a data. So as you can see that it is a very understandable, right? So this data can be represented as by the given pictures called a pictograph. Okay, we should be able to collect information from a pictograph by reading it. Every pictograph has title, pictures, labels, or keys. So what do you mean by all these words? Or where can we find this in pictographs? So let's start with the title. So when we say title, it is what the pictograph is all about. Pictures tells us the given number of objects. Labels tells us what data is shown. Then the last one is the key. So when we say key, it tells us the number each picture is equal to. So now let's try to read this example. So let's start with Simi. So Simi collected 5 flowers. Sanya collected 7 flowers from the farm, while Suzanne collected 4 flowers from the farm. So that's it. So let's hear from the next reporter, Colleen Soko, for learning objectives in pictograph.
Colleen.
Okay. So, learning objectives. Upon completion of this lesson, students will be able to define pictograph, read and interpret pictographs, create a pictograph. So, why we need to identify pictograph? So, pictograph represent the occurrence of data by making use of symbols or images that are pertinent to the data. It is also one of the easiest way to represent statistical data. So let us hear from the next topic from Miss Mary Chris Quistas.
So now we'll be talking about the history of pictograph or pictograms. It's interesting to notice that many of the common pictographs transcend cultures to become international symbols. The main difference between other visual representations and pictograph is that they are intended to be standard, completely independent of their context. But to trace a comprehensive line of time for pictographic symbols, we should go back to prehistoric rock paintings and petroglyphs. So next slide. Pictographs were used all over the world since 9000 BC or before Christ and become popular around 4000 years later when they began to develop into logographic writing systems, but the first pictorial signs appear in 30,000 before Christ or BC in the form of cave paintings. Next. The earliest forms of Mesopotamian language of cuneiform, the Egyptian hieroglyphs, as well as Japanese pictograms and Mayan glyphs, mark a major advancement in their development of culture, as they have contributed to the idea of icons and pictograms. So, ang earliest forms of Mesopotamian language of cuneiform, kay mao na ang koan, earliest form sa pictographs ang Mesopotamian language of cuneiform. So, ang Mayan sad kay nagmark sa major advancement in the development of culture as they have contributed to the idea of icons and pictograms. So, next slide. In the 12th century, new categories of pictorial signs emerged, but as hieroglyphs, they were not neutral because they didn't fulfill the criteria of international symbolism. 3 centuries later, the invention of the writing press gave birth to some pictorial signs that come close to our pictographs. So 3 centuries later, the invention of the printing press kay nagkuan siya, nag-give siya sa some pictorial signs na mao jud na ang close siya sa pictograms na nasa similarities ba. So next. Because all of these influences now, pictographs have developed an incredibly efficient and simple way to represent and communicate ideas because they offer a clear and concrete explanation pointing to a simple fact. So, tungod ani nila, mo ni ang naka-influence sa pictographs para makadevelop og efficient and simple way to represent and communicate ideas para para clear siya ba and na siya ka ng complete explanation. And so now we're done discussing about the history of pictographs. So we will now move forward to the definition of terms and it will be discussed by Nanoy Valentin.
All right, thank you, Miss. So what we have here are the definition of terms. Basically, these terms are the ones that we have used in our discussion. First one, we have pictograph. A pictograph is a symbol or image that conveys meaning through its resemblance to a physical object and a diagram that represents statistical data through pictorial forms. Data. The data is the collection of facts such as numbers, words, measurements, observations, or even just descriptions of things. Next one, we have symbol. A symbol has a single, simple, and defined meaning. So as we can see, symbols are being used in a pictograph, right? Next one, we have a picture. So this is just to differentiate between a symbol and a picture. So a picture could have multiple interpretations rather than a symbol. Next one, we have numerical value. It is the real number regardless of its sign. Next one is total, the whole number or amount of something. Okay, so frequency. Frequency is the rate at which something occurs or is repeated over a particular period of time or in a given sample. graph. A graph is a mathematical diagram which shows the relationship between two or more sets of numbers or measurements. Okay, second to the last, we have represent. So when we say represent, it is being like be entitled or appointed to act or speak for someone or something, especially in an official capacity. Lastly, we have transcend, be or go beyond the range or limits of something abstract, typically a conceptual field or division. So I guess that's it for the definition of terms. Thank you. So next one we have for the steps and processes and how to solve, create, calculate, and illustrate, we will have Miss Gwen. No.
So these are the following steps and process on how to create pictograph. Let's say, for example, how many apples have been sold this past 7 days via a pictograph? The following are step and process on how to create pictograph. Next. 1. Collect data. First step is obviously collecting of the data of the category you want to represent. Collect your data by appropriate means, and then make a list of the table of the data. One time finally review the data. Next. 2. Pick your symbol. Pick a symbol or picture that accurately represents your data. If you are drawing a pictograph to represent apple, sets of sold, then a symbol of basketball would be highly confusing. So pick your symbol carefully. So next, let me call Jamaica Oporto for the next step.
So the third step is assign a key. Sometimes the frequency of the data is too high, then one symbol cannot represent one frequency. You must set a numerical value that one symbol represents. These numerical values must be written along with the numerical data or pictograph. So let's just say, for example, an apple. An apple represents 100 sets of an apple. So that is the key of the pictograph. So the next step is to draw the pictograph. The final step is drawing your pictograph. So diri kay magbuhatag table. Sa table dira kay mag ato na siyang ikuan og kaduha. The first one is the category and the second one is the data. Next step is to review our data. So diri kay ato jud una-unaon nga mag-review jud ta sa data. Ato jud siyang i-double check nga atong data kay sakto lang gyud siya. Like sa atong apple nga sakto gyud nga 100 sets iyahang apple. So for us to know what really pictograph really look like, let me call Miss Aiza.
So after knowing the steps and processes, we're gonna how to create a pictograph. So the first step, as Ms. Gwendolyn says, we have to collect a data. So we have here the numbers of apples that sold. After collecting the data, we're gonna pick our symbol. So our symbol here is an apple. After picking a symbol, we're gonna assign a key. So it states here that one apple is equivalent to 100 sets of apples. After assigning our key, we're gonna have to draw the pictograph. So we have here the two columns that represents the category, which is the days, the Monday to Sunday. Then the next column is the data, the numbers of apples that sold. After drawing the pictograph, we're gonna review our data. We have to review our data to make sure and it is correctly what we're gonna want to relay. Next slide, please. So we have here a solved example. So the pictograph shows the number of oranges sold by a trader in 3 days. If the trader still have 115 oranges left after the 3 days, calculate the number of oranges he had at first. So 1 oranges represents 50 oranges. Slide, please. Next slide, please. So we have here a solution. Monday, 3 times 50 equals 150. In Tuesday, we have 5 times 50 equals 250. In Wednesday, we have 4 oranges times 50 is equal to 400. So the oranges remaining is 115. So the total number of oranges he had is 150 plus 250 plus 400 plus 115 is equal to 915. So the answer is 915 oranges. So we're gonna have Miss Gabonada. Yes.
Good evening. Since we were asked to give 2 problems about pictographs, so here is our examples. Let's start with problem 1. Teacher Anne asked her student what their favorite fruit snack is. So the table or the graph you see is the representation of the problem. When we talk about pictograph, there should be pictures, and of course, for us to know what is we need to have labels, and title can also be written. If tanawon lang nato ang graph mismo, makasabot na ta nga naay list sa mga fruits and list sa mga bata nga nipili sa lain-lain nga fruits. And this is nga boys and girls which were represented by the heads pictures. Question number 1. What is the total number of students of Teacher Anne? So as we see the graph, we should count the students who like apples, orange, grapes, bananas, and strawberry. Apples like 8 students. Orange, 6 students. Grapes, 4 students. Bananas, 3 students. Strawberries, 4 students. So therefore, Teacher Anne has 25 students in all. How many boys specify the number of students in each fruit? So there are 12 boys like apple, 4 like orange, 1 like grapes, and 3 like bananas. How many girls specify the number of students in each fruit? So there are 13 girls, 4 from apple, 2 from orange, 3 from grapes, and 4 from strawberries. So how many students likes the following? As what I've said earlier, there are 8 students who like apple, there are 6 students who like orange, there are 4 students who like grapes, there are 3 students who like bananas, there are 4 students who like strawberries. Which fruit has the largest number of the student? So kung mutanaw lang ka sa graph, makita na nimo kung unsa ang gipili sa mostly sa students ang ilang naganahan, which is the apple kay siya mo'y pinakataas nga naa sa graph nato. Which fruit have the same number of students? So the fruit that has the same number of students are the grapes and the strawberry, which is they like 4. Which fruit has the less number of students? So kay naaman tay pinakataas, naapod tay pinamubo. So ang fruit nga napili sa mga estudyante is the bananas. Which fruit liked by all girls and all boys? All girls, the fruit they like are strawberry. For the boys, the fruit they like are bananas. Which fruit is less liked by the boys? The fruit that is less liked by the boys is strawberry. Fruit is less likely liked by the girls is orange. Let's move on to the second problem. The only difference between the problem 1 and 2 is that problem 2 has legend while problem 1 has not. So problem 2, Marites sold boxes of face masks in a week. This is the picture shown below is the representation of numbers of boxes sold from the day Monday to Sunday. Each box is equivalent to 50 pieces of face masks. How many boxes of face masks sold by Marites in a week? The total number of boxes of face masks sold by Marites in a week is 21 boxes. Monday, which is 2 boxes sold. Tuesday, 2 boxes sold. Wednesday, 3 boxes sold. Thursday, 4 boxes sold. Friday, there were 2 boxes sold. Saturday, there were 3 boxes sold. Sunday, there were 5 boxes sold. What is the total pieces of face mask sold by Marites in a week? So, sa akong giingon ganina is ang 1 box kay naa siya sold which is 50 pieces. So if there were 21 boxes sold in a week, i-multiply ni nato siya sa total number of boxes sold of pieces in each box, which is 21 boxes times 50 pieces is equals to 1,050 pieces of face mask. Therefore, there were 1,050 pieces of face masks sold by Marites in a week. How many pieces of face masks sold by the following days? Monday, 2 boxes times 50 is equals to 100 pieces of face masks. Tuesday, 2 boxes times 50 is equals to 100 pieces of face mask. Wednesday, 3 boxes times 50 pieces equals 150 pieces of face mask. For Thursday, there are 4 boxes times 50 pieces is equals to 200 pieces of face mask. Friday, 2 boxes plus times 50 pieces equals 100 pieces of face mask. For Saturday, 3 boxes times 50 pieces is equals to 150 pieces of face mask. And lastly, Sunday, 5 boxes times 50 pieces is equals to 250 pieces of face mask. Question number 5. In what day of the week did Marites sell the largest number of boxes of face masks? So Marites sold the largest number of face masks is on Sunday. What days of the week she sold the same number of boxes of face masks? Marites sold the same number of boxes of face masks on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, which are 2 boxes, and Wednesday and Saturday, which are 3 boxes. Which days of the week has the less number of boxes sold by Marites? Marites sold least number of face masks on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. For question number 8, you can also include the legends written above that Marites sell each box for 350 pieces. So pesos. 350 pesos, which is ang total na nga boxes is 21. So if times na nato siya is equivalent to 7,350 pesos. So therefore, Marites has total sales of 7,350 in a week from selling boxes of face masks. So that's all. Let me call Jimbert for the conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gabanada. Now let's move on to conclusion of pictograph. To conclude the pictograph or pictograms is a visual or symbolic representation of facts. In arithmetic, pictographs are commonly used to illustrate concepts such as data management. Pictograms are a great addition to an infographic with lots of numbers or text. They're great for statistical infographics since they may provide a visual representation of quantity and volume. So, ang pictograph o infographics is has a similarities It is commonly thought that infographic and pictograph are different, but they are not. They are both visual representations of data. Okay, can I call Stephen for the next slide? Thank you.
So thank you, Humbert. So lastly, so pictograph are used in illustration of statistical information or approach by the use of symbols rather than numbers, and this is common in data handling. So they pictograph help in visually formatting statistical data, so as we presented earlier. They help in representing the data visually interesting and easy to understand. Why? Because instead of only presenting numbers, we present objects, right? Then they can be useful for representing a large amount of data. So in addition, it is important because it will help us to neglect that mindset about seeing large numbers as bothersome. So as I said nga, we can use this to represent a large amount of data. So after all, instead of numbers, symbols or objects are the ones that will be placed and represented. So I guess that's all for our topic. So I hope you learned something about pictograph. That's group one. So thank you.